Welcome to Grace Pilled, where we explore the infinitude of God by talking about God with God within God, aka interviews with people spanning the full spectrum of the spiritual path. My name is Hanna, and I will be your guide. I've been studying and practicing in a classical Shakta tantric tradition since 2015, and I just love exploring all of the ways that God wakes up within her own dream. For the last few years, I've been working professionally as a guide, doing one-on-one work, and also giving talks and courses. If you ever want to chat with me, you can book a call with me on my website or join my Patreon, which is my massive library of Q&A sessions and spiritual talks, spanning everything from traditional tantric philosophy to how to spiritualize your experience of your emotions. So we literally cover everything about being human in my Patreon. If you want to support the podcast, I also have a $5 tier that you can use as a tip jar for the show. So today, let's talk about the episode. You're in for a treat, guys. This conversation with astrologer Diana Rose is just everything I love. It's deep, it's funny, it's emotionally honest, it's spiritually grounded, and it's shockingly affirming. A lot of interesting stuff happened here. We talk about astrology as a tool for healing in relationship, not just like a personality summary. We get into these cultural shoulds, what we should do, and how different signs are more acceptable in the way that they show their emotions, just on a cultural level. The fantasy of experiencing success, why some people are actually low-key allergic to long-term relationships and traditional relationships. That was really interesting. And how the dream of returning to a small village life where all of our friends live within walking distance of us is still very much alive in Portland, Oregon. Okay. And Diana also shared a really beautiful story about choosing connection in a moment of grief that she experienced recently. And we talk about how being weird, mystical kids shaped the way that we move through the world now. I felt like I was in great company with another person who grew up watching David Bowie's The Labyrinth on repeat. There's a few of us out there, and there's a pipeline. There's a pipeline. It's the David Bowie's The Labyrinth 2 mystical devotional spirituality pipeline, and we're both on it. And of course, my Aquarius ass just loves talking to a Sagittarius. It's always very fun. And so I really love this conversation, and I think you will too. And let's get right into the episode. Okay. Hi, welcome to Grace Pilled.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to hear your voice like in real time.
When it's like in situ or something.
Yeah, in situ.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be in situ with you.
Same. Because I feel like I've been listening to your voice on the internet in like asynchronously for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, Hanna is real. This was cool.
I'm like having the same experience with you though.
Yeah.
Because your Instagram is like, I have like this like hall of people that have been in my mind on Instagram. It's like a grand hall with like a bunch of portraits. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does actually.
And like you're one of those people, but it's like an ancient lore hall of people that I've admired on Instagram. So
I love this.
It's awesome to have you be here. Yeah. And Meredith Graves was actually the push.
Amazing.
To get you here. So Meredith has really been done a lot for this podcast.
I feel like there's something like, how whenever you like go to like the theater or something and there's like this section in the playbill that's like like honorable donors or whatever, like the top line maybe for Grace Pilled is like with incredible gratitude to the generosity, intelligence, and magnanimity of the one and only Meredith Graves.
Literally.
Like,
thank you. Thank you. Wherever you are. Oh my goodness. Well, welcome to the show. I like to start by asking everybody, what's a recent win or something proud of in your life? Something you're proud of in your life?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this question because I think it's such a great question. And just this weekend, I was given a fantastic answer to this. So on Friday, I found out that my biological father, who I haven't spoken to since I was 13, so it's been like 22 years since I've spoken to this man. I found out through one of my half siblings that he's in the hospital, functionally dying. which is like such a bizarre thing to find out that a family, like not just any family member, but like a direct biological, like you're my parent, even if you never parented me, like that someone like that is like on the way out. Um, and like at first it was just kind of like uh white noise, like just the like kind of like I don't really know how to feel or do anything about this. And then on Saturday, I woke up very sad. And instead of isolating, which would have been my like normal way of doing things, I would have just like putzed around the house and like stared into the void and like, I don't know, like maybe cried at my altar or something. Um, I texted my like friends, like local friends group chat, and was like, let's do things. So with a few of them, we went to the farmers market. With one of them, I went and had additional, like I did the like my version of like white lady getting bangs because big thing is happening, except I don't get bangs. What I did is I got third holes added to my earlobes, which is something I've been thinking about for literally 3 years. So it's not like it was actually a snap decision. It was just like, fine, today's the day. I am claiming agency over my body by putting holes in my head. And then I went and got a pedicure for the first time in like 2 years with another one of my friends. And then messed around with like camping gear with another friend. And then ate pizza and had a beer because it was very hot outside. But I just like hung out with people all day instead of isolating, which is literally the exact opposite of what I would do in different circumstances. And that feels like such a win because one, my default would be to isolate, but two, it genuinely helped. Like a part of me was afraid that I would feel like I was running away from my feelings, but I wasn't. Like I cried several times throughout the day, sometimes when hanging out with said people, like just having like moments of like feeling deeply affected by the fancy raviolo at the farmer's market or um like uh before going and getting a pedicure, I was spending a little bit of time in Katie Greenwood's Patreon Discord. I don't know if you know Katie Greenwood. Her handle on Instagram is at Thistle Thistle, and she was diagnosed with cancer last year, went through treatment, and then died this year. And she is one of those people who, like, I don't even really know how to describe her and her work and her like impact on so many different people, but she's like an artist, she's a creator, and she had this very like grounded and whimsical approach to existence that was just so medicinal and real. And so I was just like cleaning out my Patreon inbox, saw that there was this message because of one of her patrons inviting to a Discord, and somehow the Discord link was still active, even though it was like from like February or something. And I go into this Discord, and there's a whole bunch of amazing people still sharing their amazing creations. And like her husband Staney is like participating in the Discord. It's just like, so I'm just like sobbing, and then I go and get a pedicure instead of just like sobbing in my house. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so that for me was like a huge win. Just like not committing to dissociation because I was having weird feelings, but instead committing to connection while I was having weird feelings.
Right. Or like committing to dissociation in isolation.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And maybe having a little bit of dissociation with people still,
Just like
right?
a soupçon, just like a little Salt Bay amount of
Morsel.
dissociation. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then that feels like not something you would normally do. So there's like growth there
Yeah.
or
Yeah. It's also the like noticing the consequences of having deliberately worked to expand my um like it's expand my comfort zone, expand my like I don't know, emotional tolerance field for you know, feeling feelings in general, but then feeling feelings when around other people, right? Like it's safe to be in my feelings and to feel complicated. And like part of that is also, you know, the people I was hanging out with are people that I've developed like trust and intimacy with over time. And so it's also like, wow, this is so amazing that like our friendships with each other and like together, right? Like instead of just having like discrete friends that are like all over the place, it's like there's a gathering where I'm just like, oh, I'm allowed to just be like a human having a weird time.
Mhm.
That's so nice.
Mhm.
And like my friends are cool,
Right.
like kind and like total sweeties about it.
Yeah. Or is it like I'm allowed to be a person who's having a weird time with other people, literally with me?
Literally actually with me.
Like,
Because so not to get too intensely into my own trauma history, but it's like I had to teach myself how to cry in my 20s. Like it's very similar to the fact that like I also had to teach myself to know when I was hungry,
mm,
right? Because like my early childhood was deeply characterized by neglect.
mm,
And so my response to that neglect was shut down. So it's like I don't have access to crying.
oh,
I
which is a
don't have
resource,
access to
actually.
yes, I don't have access to hunger cues. So then there's the like, oh, now I have access to these things and I've gotten comfortable with it enough in private to then also be continuously increasing my ability to tolerate and acknowledge and accept and like honor said feelings when other people are present. And like all of this, like part of why all of it feels like a
Oh,
win for me is so like several years ago, I was staying out in the desert by myself for a while and through like basically through a dream was like given a definition of healing that has been so important for me, like continuously important, which is healing is increasing the ability to be in relationship,
hmm.
right? And like the broadest possible definitions of all of those words, so it's like obviously not just
Oh,
romantic
yeah,
relationship,
totally.
but like also relationship with oneself, relationship with history, relationship with like the space around you, relationship with
Hmm.
friends, relationships with like people who are doing enemy behavior even, right? Like the whole range of things. Um and so I feel like, this past weekend, I was like, cool, here is literal physical evidence that I have sufficiently attended to some of the consequences of trauma to remain in relationship and
Mhm.
to even actively pursue relationship, to reach out to my people and say, I'm having a weird hard time. Who wants to see if the farmer's market has delicious cherries? you know, like that just it feels huge. It
It
feels
feels
huge.
so
Yeah.
huge. Oh
And
my
now I
God.
have delicious cherries from the farmer's market.
It's a win, 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 win,
And
win.
100%. Yeah.
It's winning across the board.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. I love that one.
I do too.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, and also just and not to make people as resources, but like even just like tapping into that resource of community.
hmm
And like I'm allowed to have that resource. It's okay for
Yeah.
me to ask for help and support and all these sorts of things. It's so beautiful.
And I think part of it too is like this is a community of people where it's like there's just been like a sort of natural reciprocity
Hmm.
happening in ways that I haven't personally experienced in this way before. Mostly because like I as we were talking about before the call, it's like I lived in Los Angeles, like Los Angeles area, Los Angeles County, not Los Angeles proper, for about 5 years. Um and in that time, like I had friends there, but they were very spread out. They weren't like in proximity physically, and they also weren't really in proximity with each other.
Mm.
Whereas where I am now, I'm in like really close physical proximity. And it's like physical proximity with people who are also in relational proximity of various intensities with each other, which is super, super cool. Like I
Oh,
could
so it's
see
not
how
like
people
friends from different friend groups everywhere. It's like people are
yeah,
relating with one another.
like they're relating, like the compartmentalization of friends is not really happening. It's like I have other friends where it's like I have a group chat, me and two of my besties, and like one of them lives in the Pacific Northwest and one of them lives on the East Coast. And so it's like we're talking with each other like literally all day every day, but we don't have the physical proximity with each other, because like we're at minimum 3 hours away from each other at any given moment. um so to like just have that blending be both physical proximity and like relational proximity, um is just it's a very cool experience. And also understanding it's just like, okay, I've helped everyone in this crew and everyone in this crew has helped everyone in this crew. So it's not like there's like a person who's taking up too much space or a person who is never taking up any space because, like, God forbid, right? There's like a sufficient amount of like genuine presence that's happening. That's super. It's like I'm just like, oh man, this is so nice, and I wish. Yeah, I'm actually reminded. I saw a reel last week of somebody talking about how funny it is that so many millennials have this dream of a homestead with their friends, and she was like, basically, this is just millennials reinventing the village. And it's so
What if
funny.
we were all close to each other and exchanged things?
What if we gardened together? What if we raised each other's children together? What if we lived in little houses that were like real close to each other?
No one's ever done this before, guys. We're so smart.
What if we had a fire pit in the middle? We just hung out and sang songs around the fire. It's but it's like it's so funny because it's like there is something. So one way that I understand my like interests and like therefore work, both on a personal level and then like what I do with other people, is I've been like long-term interested in figuring out how the hell to be a human. Like, what does it actually mean to human? um and so when we think about something like in-person community that's like respectful and like mutual and like all of these things, um and then think about, well, how much of human history was village life versus like the last like 200 years. And it's like, oh yeah, like there is something. It's like there's something in the human animal body that's like, wait, we should be living in the village. What are we? Like, even who is it? Jane Jacobs, I think, who was like a sociologist who wrote a book. I mean, she wrote a couple of things, but like one of the things that she wrote was looking at like neighborhood culture in New York City and like what makes for a good neighborhood. And it's just like, even in an urban setting, villages appear in neighborhoods or blocks, right? It's like there's a certain safety that happens when people who all live on the same block are all looking out for each other's like well-being.
Oh, totally.
So it's like village orientation doesn't have to be like actually straight up some like huts in a circle around a fire pit with like shared like
It
agriculture.
arranges itself.
It arranges itself. And it doesn't have anything to do with like affinity, like interests or whatever. It's like the affinity is proximity, and like all of us need to be safe in this area.
Totally. Oh, right. Like we all need to protect this,
Yeah.
the sanctity and community of this space together.
Yeah. Or it's just like, it's like if I see like some kid beating up another kid, instead of being like, well, not my children, I'm going to be like,
Totally.
what are you doing? Like, I'm not your mom, and also stop.
Totally. Oh, totally. Yeah, we all hold each other accountable, but like in those gentle or intense ways, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole story and everything you're experiencing is just reviving me. The dream is alive somewhere, and it's in Diana's life.
Yeah. I mean, I believe really firmly in like a certain amount of Delulu, I guess would be one way of putting it, where it's like I think about where I come from, which is like, foster care, food bank food. Like, I remember how much my life improved whenever free breakfast became a thing when I was in elementary school, like like I haven't, like, I feel like one of the greatest fortunes of my life has been believing it can't just be this. Like, it can absolutely be better than what I'm experiencing right now. And that has propelled me through so many things, and also allowed me to do certain kinds of like depths of exploration, both like internal personal exploration, but then also like looking at the world outside of me with a sufficient amount of genuine curiosity to be able to find ways forward instead of just feeling smooshed by the realities as they currently exist.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because the conditions of the United States right now. Okay.
50-yard stare.
Yeah, people listening are not going to see the facial expression I just made, but it's bleak. But when I've been speaking with people about this a lot recently, I've been talking about how you don't want to overlook the benefit of maintaining a positive attitude, not because you should bypass the things that are happening, but because when you think positively, you see opportunities that otherwise a negative mindset would not see.
100%.
So there's a survival mechanism to it.
Yeah. A negative mindset is like, or like a pessimistic lens is a fantastic way to obscure perception of possibilities that are worth pursuing.
Exactly.
Straight up.
Exactly.
You don't have to fully commit to like Delulu level optimism in order to see more than you see when your only lens is pessimism. But
no, totally. Yeah, like because like
Delulu time is really beneficial.
no, real. Right, Delulu time's really beneficial, but also it's like when I talk about like thinking positively, it'll be like thinking about potential timelines that could happen, like food scarcity. There's just not as many resources because our commander in chief just is an idiot. And when I think positively in that situation, in my narrative, my self narrative and my self concept, I'm like, I'm very capable. I'll find a way. That's the positive thinking. Yeah. It's not like everything's going to be fine. It's just, I think positive, my self concept is such that I'm like, I will find a way. I can figure this out.
Yeah. It's navigable. It's navigable.
Exactly.
And it's like, I think there's also something here of just, like in my work in various spaces, like sometimes I'll have people coming to me being like, just tell me it's going to be okay. And I'm like, let's actually break down what okay means. Because everything's going to be okay. There's the version that is just nothing is actually going to change in ways that I'll like require me to change in ways that I don't feel like I opted into. And then there's the everything's going to be okay, that you're still going to be able to get your basic needs met and you're still going to be able to be in positive, nourishing relationships with other people. Right. And like, if you allow okay to be, you're going to be able to get your basic needs met and sustain relations. There are so many more versions of that can exist than nothing is going to change in ways I feel like I didn't consent to.
Totally.
And like the option of I'm going to get my basic needs met and remain in relations. And I focus on the remain in relations because humans are incredibly social creatures and we do need each other. You know, then actually you can break down like, okay, what are some, like maybe I'm worried about this particular need being met. Like maybe it would be beneficial for me to learn something about cooking if I've never cooked before, or learn something about the plants that grow in my neighborhood, because there are so many more edible plants that are just like literally growing all over the place than you would expect, because there's a lot of things that are edible but not conducive to agricultural industrial practices.
Oh yeah, like purslane, lamb's quarter, all these sorts of things that are weeds.
Yeah. Like lamb, what is it? Miner's lettuce. Like there's so many things that literally just can't industry, but that doesn't mean they're not edible and nutritious. You know, or you're worried about being able to remain in relations whenever things are more stressful for survival reasons. Like, okay, amazing, great. You can learn, you know, it's like you just were teaching the conflict class, right? It's like you can learn about navigating conflict. You can learn about your own triggers, like your own activation patterns, and develop different skill sets for navigating them in ways that you could be proud of. Right? Like you can literally address your worry about being okay if you are clear about what you mean when you say, are we going to be okay?
Oh my God, that's such a good point. Yeah. That's such a good point. And also like including like the relational aspect of it is kind of making me laugh internally, because I saw some tweet sometime, you know, you just see a good tweet. And it was the tweet was like, I could get through anything if I had a crush on somebody there.
Yeah. The vitalizing force of a crush is not to be underestimated.
Yeah.
Like, who needs caffeine when you have a crush?
Yeah. But anyway, it doesn't need to be that extreme, but that just kind of reminded me of that. It's kind of funny.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, wow, you just showered us with so much amazing perspective. And so the next thing I need to do is ask you, like, how do you define your spirituality? What
Mm,
words would you give to explain your spiritual practice and your
mhm.
view? I would just love to hear it.
Yeah. Let's see. This is one of those questions that it will always depend on when you ask me how I answer it. Um, in this moment, the things that feel the most relevant and true to say is that I am a devotionally oriented animist. Um, and I exist within an inspirited worldview. Um, and uh Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would just leave it. I would kind of like that's like the most
Yeah. Does
summary
it need to be any
summary
more?
version. Yeah, I think that's like the tidy description, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a devotionally oriented animist and I live within an inspirited worldview. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's basically that's
I love that.
that is a satisfying summation right now. Yeah.
That feels good. Right. Okay, cool. And so that's how you feel that you move through reality, right? Which is awesome. I love every word that you said, actually.
Yeah.
And then like are there any practices or traditions that like have informed that view?
Yeah. So I haven't ever like been initiated into any specific traditions. It's one of those things where I've pursued, like I've investigated, I've explored that. And I always end up being like diverted from it in some way, which makes me understand that some portion of what I'm here up to is not currently at least requiring the structure of a tradition, like a defined tradition. Like I've definitely had my times when I'm just like, I just really want a guru, and it's just like, no, it's kind of, sometimes I wonder if it's sort of like the person who really wants to be a king should not be king.
Mm.
It's like the person who really wants a guru maybe isn't going to benefit in the ways that they think by having
Oh,
the guru.
totally.
You know,
Okay.
but like I have like elder hunger.
Oh,
That
that's
makes sense.
totally real.
You know,
Oh, that's totally real.
yeah. It's like again, parental figures were not fantastic at the parenting part, right?
Totally.
Um, so um, let's see. If I think about, well, okay, but this is interesting because I feel like one of the things that does influence this worldview and this orientation are my parents, right?
Mm.
So as I mentioned, it's like my dad is dying. I talked to him on the phone for the first time in 22 years yesterday. It was wild. And so part of why it's wild is he was saying some things that I'm just like, I literally don't disagree with you on like a spiritual level. And also there are ways that you just move through the world that I disagree with so strongly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like so intensely. But
Oh,
just
oh.
um
Mm,
both my mom and my dad
mm,
have certain sorts of, I don't know, maybe mystical psychic-ish type leanings, but for a combination of reasons, we're not equipped to navigate the components of incarnate reality that made it hard for them to be grounded individuals.
mm.
Um,
Oh, 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 okay,
you
okay.
know what I mean? So it's
Yep.
like there were components of their experience that ungrounded them, and then they never got what they needed to reground.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like in the form of guidance or community or support
Or
that could have
integration.
turned that into something that could be actionable and useful.
Exactly. Like those
Okay.
things that facilitate like multimodal maturation, maybe
Mm.
would be one way of putting it. Um and so both of them instilled in me some of those, like I think both like literally biologically maybe, but then also just circumstantially. It's like my dad gave me a mantra when I was like 8 years old that I was supposed to chant in the morning while my feet were facing the sunrise. And so I did that once and felt my entire body vibrating and freaked out, stopped chanting it, and then landed on my bed. Or like I had the sensation of landing back
Oh, no, no,
on my bed,
no, I'm with you.
you know? And
Yeah,
then like immediately the mantra yeeted itself from my brain because it was had no context for integrating this experience.
that's probably good.
Yeah. Right. Right. So, but like knowing that there was more to the world than um like scientific materialist objectification. You know, like I didn't get deeply swatted out of that sort of enchanted way of being that a lot of children, a majority of children at some point become like calloused to in some way. You
So,
know what I mean?
because you actually had some lived experiences that would make you question.
Yeah.
And then you also had parents who were supportive of that. So it was a good environment for you not to get yeeted
Yes, exactly.
out of the
Yes.
spiritual worldview. Yes.
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, it's like my mom, it's like we had a lot of like the Brian Froud illustrated books and like the Flower Fairies books,
I
you
only
know?
looked at Brian Froud fairy books when I
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
child.
So like the Labyrinth VHS tape
I've seen it
was
100 times.
shredded. Like the opening sequence with like the barn owl coming in was always just like just like this terrible like glitch art situation because of how often I watched it. It was so shredded. Or like, did you ever watch? This is like the pinnacle of my childhood films, and like I now like several years ago I showed it to an ex who was like, "This explains you so much." I'm like, "Yeah, it probably explains like 60%." And he looked at me and was like, "That explained you like 95%." Diana. I was like, "Oh, gee, okay." So then I started using it as a litmus test for people I was dating to great effect, I have to say. It was very effective, very efficient. But it's the 1978, 79, I always forget what year it actually came out. Animated film The Point.
Oh, I've never
Do you
heard
know
of
this
it.
movie? Okay. So this film is the animated version of a concept album that Harry Nilsson came up with when he was tripping balls on acid.
Like the lime and the coconut guy? Is that Harry Nilsson?
Wait, is that Harry Nilsson? I
I
have no
think it
idea.
is.
That's really funny. Okay. So Harry Nilsson, hilarious, extraordinarily prolific musician.
Yes.
Like, I think he would be more famous if he had been more curatorial with the music that he actually published out into the world.
Oh,
But brilliant, brilliant
okay.
musician, just totally banana sauce. But The Point tells the story of like a village where everybody literally has like a cone head. Like everything has a point. Literally, everything in the village has a point. And then there's a baby that's born that has a round head, and his name is Oblio, and he's a dog named Arrow. So you might have heard the song. I think "Me and My Arrow" is the song from that
Yeah.
movie. Like, yeah, so that song is from The Point. Um, and so at a certain point, LOL, the Duke's son gets mad at Oblio because Oblio's really good at playing this game called Triangle Toss. And the Duke's son loses a game and is like, "Nyeh." And so then Oblio gets banished to the Pointless Forest, where he meets a whole bunch of like a whole cast of characters.
Oh, but they're not
And
pointy.
no, they all are pointy. This
Oh,
is the
they are.
thing. Like the entire forest is actually filled with points. And there's a character who's like a very mercurial character. He's called the Pointless Man, and he's like always pointing. He has three faces. He has very pointy like facial features, and he has like neon like sign pointer things like coming out of him all the time. And he just like appears and disappears, and he appears and disappears out of the vanishing point. It's so funny. It's so good. But that also was like an undergirding of my spiritual worldview because like the cast of characters in the Pointless Forest includes like a very industrial talking tree, right? Like industrial as in he's like, we got to get ready for the fall season. We're going to be doing all of these colors. Are you going to join? Like, we need to get you into production. Do you know how to make leaves? Like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like there's a character called the Rock Man who's like an animated stack of rocks who's like really into jazz, and he's just like, you ain't got to have yourself a point to have a point. And then there's like a jazz flute. It's like, so if we're talking about my spiritual origins, we're talking about things like the Pointless Man in an acid trip based like film. You
Right.
know? Um,
Right. Did
you
you
know,
also watch that repeatedly?
oh, all the time. Constant. I think that was probably my most watched film.
Okay, and then Labyrinth is like second,
And
right?
then Labyrinth was probably second. And then I also, enjoyed my Disney princesses,
Oh,
which
yeah.
like talk about like animism, like how many like every single Disney princess, at least at the time, I don't know if this is still true because I don't know, but like has like an animal companion that they talk to,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
Oh.
um, but then, it's like my mom is also how I was introduced to tarot because like one of her friends was really into like tarot and had those like those Native American spirit cards
Yeah.
that were really popular in like the 80s and 90s.
Uh-huh.
Like that was my introduction to divination,
Oh.
right? And like I was consuming so much mythology, so many fairy tales, so many stories, and taking them as like a certain kind of true
Right. Right.
because they are.
Yes.
But also there was nobody telling me like this is just pretend.
Yeah. And that was part of just kind of like you were surrounded by supportive people that were supportive of you, not thinking
Like
that way.
yeah, exactly. It's like
Yes.
either actively supportive or at least not obstructive.
100%. Yeah.
Right?
Not somebody being
One of
like, you're too old to think like this or
one of the
something.
benefits of neglect is not getting told that you shouldn't think like that anymore because but like actually real talk.
You're gonna struggle in school if you keep thinking like this or something.
Yeah, and it's like no, I was like literally reading by 4. Like I was hyperlexic.
Uh-huh.
And so I was also the kid in school who like I would finish my homework before everybody else and then just go in the corner and read.
Oh.
So teachers loved me because they never caused problems. Like the biggest problem I caused was like adding conjunctions. Is that what they're called? Yeah, conjunctions when you go to from do not to don't. Like whenever we were like reading aloud, I remember this specifically in a first grade classroom, we were reading aloud Frog and Toad, and I was adding conjunctions where there weren't any. And the teacher was
Oh.
like, "There's not a conjunction there." And I was like, "Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to say do not
Yeah, it's
when don't
easier.
exists." um so anyway, um I did have a stint in like Christianity in like I was baptized Lutheran and went to a very small amount of Sunday school as a child. But then when I was 9, I moved in with my grandparents who live in Bible Beltville. And so I went to a couple of churches with like friends in like junior high and high school. Um, and I remember specifically there was a youth church and we're like it was like I don't how like with certain strains of evangelicism it's like they do the group like enthusiasmos thing where there's music and bright lights and like emotional sermoning and there's almost like an NLP style hypnosis thing that happens and then at the end they're like you need to donate money to the church. Why? You just need to. Right? And so I remember being at
Wait, like it's like an environment where it like puts people into a suggestive state.
like a
Like
suggestive
the
state and everybody feels so just like
yeah,
there's like I
uplifted by
feel
Christ.
connected with everyone and like I feel yeah exactly like I'm ready to give my life to Christ and just
Yeah.
they've also it's a youth church so it's all teenagers filled with hormones who are being told that they can't kiss each other so there's like this additional like erotic like siphoning that can happen in a situation like that.
Oh.
And so I remember being in one of these situations being like, this church doesn't do anything with this money except the youth pastor has one of the most expensive cars in town. And I was like, I'm not going to this anymore. This is
Oh, okay.
no.
So you saw that and you
Yeah.
had discernment.
Yeah.
Like immediately?
Like it was maybe like the 3rd or 4th time that I went to that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to go enough times to really get the message.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. I mean, it's like again, it's like everybody was going to things like this, so
Right.
it was my attempt to like fit in a situation where I was not going to fit in for a variety of reasons anyway.
Oh, totally. Wait, but so can I clarify something? So, like, you grew up with parents, and they were not Christian. They were just kind of like mystical.
Yeah, like I was straight up named after the goddess Diana. Like I was specifically named after a goddess.
Okay. Yes. Like a pagan god.
A pagan.
Yeah.
Like that was a deliberate choice on my mom's part.
Okay, cool.
Like,
and so they never did Christianity at all. It was like totally outside of that, or
yeah, it was totally outside of that. And it was also, it's like by the time I have memories, my dad wasn't really in the picture. He was just like an Innigan like in and out sort of thing. There was like a period when I was, like again, when I was like 8, where I was like living on again, off again with him and his wife at the time and my half brother. But for the most of the time I was either with my mom or like in one of a few different foster families. And then when I was 9, that's when I moved in with my grandparents.
I see.
And so in that original like landscape, my mom was not a church person. My dad was not a church person. Both of them had like mystic leanings, right? Both of them would have been like coming of age in the 60s and 70s, right? And so they're like that kind of stuff was like filtering in, but it was never like teaching. It was never like training. It was around.
Oh, yeah, it was around. Yeah, it's like parents model everything to their kids.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything to model something to a kid. And so they were just like modeling something and you picked up on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Wait, and so we're getting a little bit into your biography already, but like, so you said that like you've never been initiated into anything, or like, whatever. But like, I know you're an astrologer.
Yes.
So like, have you been like self-taught or have you like, what's that been like?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's maybe relevant to like differentiate how I think of initiation. It's like an initiatic tradition is not something that I have experience with, but like education, I do have experience with.
Yes.
Right. So like as an astrologer, it's like I started getting into astrology in like late high school, I want to say. Like at that time, I'd been like pretty interested in tarot off and on since I was a kid. Like I used the allowance money that I got from digging dandelions out of my grandmother's yard to buy myself my first tarot deck, like when I was like 8 or 9 at the time. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Jupiter, straight up. And I'm a Sagittarius. So yeah, it's relevant. But then I started getting more into astrology in like high school and college, but really after college is when I was really getting into astrology more deeply. Like that's when, like, for my birthday in 2013, somebody gave me an astrology book, and that was the first book that was mine and not just something I picked out of the library. And that was like part of the, like, I think because I didn't have the intensity of scientific materialist objectification brain instilled, like I understood astrology to be a like historically founded and also fascinating way to think about what it means to be human. And so I was just like engaging with it casually for a while, and then I became that person who was like spooking people at the back of the bar, just like hanging out at the bar and people being like, "Oh, I heard you're into astrology. What can you tell me about blah blah blah?" And I would just be like, "Yada yada," and they'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like
like a party trick.
Like a party trick, yeah. Like one of my ex-boyfriend's roommates didn't talk to me for 2 weeks after I did this to his chart because he was so freaked out by it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
As an aside, last night or yesterday was my stepdaughter's 10th birthday, and I was standing around in the kitchen with we had a bunch of our friends over too, and I was standing around in the kitchen with a bunch of friends doing the party trick of reading people's human design charts.
Oh.
And it was like the exact same thing where everybody was like, "Tell me more! Oh my god, what?" Like, and I literally said, I was like, I feel like I'm doing a party trick right now. So anyway, you in the back of the bar, I was like, that's exactly what I was experiencing yesterday.
That's like, yeah, exactly it. And then, yeah, so for the most part, I was like relatively self-taught in the sense that I didn't have like an official teacher. I wasn't doing like an official course of education, right? Like a structured one, but I was consuming, like I was doing a lot of Googling. I was using Astrodean's, like astro.com, and like reading their, like so many of their articles. I was following a few different astrologers. Like I started following Chani like way before she was Chani, and then there's this podcast called literally just the Astrology Podcast, which I maintain is one of the absolute best free resources for people who are especially interested in more traditional astrology.
Okay, cool.
Highly recommend it. I have been a guest on it now, but like I also would say that even if I hadn't been a guest on that podcast, because it's that good.
What an accomplishment. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. So, but it was like really just like I'm trying to figure out myself. I'm trying to figure out my boyfriend. I'm trying to figure out
Oh,
what it
wait,
means to be
yeah.
a person.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is like, okay, so it sounds like what drew you to it was that it was a helpful system for you to understand what it means to be
Yes.
human.
Yes,
But
100%.
then you were also kind of like trying to understand other people or
Yeah,
your
well, I mean,
boyfriend or.
that's so much of the like how to be human is like, okay, there's my version of human, but I need contrast in order to understand how my version is different from other people's versions. Right? So it's like astrology has the potential, like not everybody uses it this way, but astrology has a very strong potential as you study it, um, to increase your ability to be deeply compassionate and accepting of the variety of human expressions. Because it's like, oh, I could get mad at that person for talking to me like that, or I could just understand that their Mercury squares my Mercury. And so sometimes we're going to have like, right. Or like their Mars is on my Mercury. And so I always feel agitated whenever they talk to me, or like any number of things along those lines. It's like, it's not that that person sucks or that I suck. It's that
Right.
we're different. And the way that our differences interact creates an outcome.
Or it becomes easier to separate behavior from personhood.
That too. That
Totally.
too.
I could see that
Yeah.
for sure.
hmm Um, so I just remained curious about it, interested in it. And then in 2018, the United Astrology Conference, which is like the biggest international astrology conference, it doesn't happen every year. Like there's another one that's happening next year, but it's been almost a decade since the United Astrology Conference has happened. It happened in Chicago, which is where I was living at the time. And I was like super broke, but here's this giant astrology conference that's happening in my town. I don't have to travel or pay for a hotel. Like, of course I'm going.
Yeah.
Um, and that was the same year that I had a birth time revelation and learned that I was a Capricorn rising, not a Sagittarius rising, as I had believed for my entire astrological exploration up to that moment.
Whoa.
And I got my first traditionally rooted astrology consultation from Kelly Surtees a month after I had my birth time revelation.
Totally.
And then a month later, I'm at the United Astrology Conference, like surrounded by like 1,500 other astrologers and astrology enthusiasts, taking classes with some of the like most well-respected names in the industry,
Yeah.
and like realizing like, oh, this thing that I thought I was just like interested in is like a job. Like people do, like I knew that obviously I was like listening to and like consuming content from professional astrologers, but it hadn't landed in my body. Like this is a thing that people do with their lives until I went to that conference. And also at that conference, I made a bunch of people who are now like are still very close friends. Like one of my bestest friends, I met at that conference underneath a table in a
Oh.
suite during a party during Mars night. Like,
Yeah.
you know, um, and also at that conference, like some of my friends that I met, like the initial stages of friendship included them being like, "What do you mean you don't offer readings?
Oh,
What are
okay,
you doing,
cool.
Hannah?" Like,
Yeah.
there's um yeah, this one person in particular, Whit Forrester, is directly responsible for me opening up my books for astrology. At that point, I had done some Reiki training, and I was doing tarot, like moderately professionally, moderately casually, and I was investigating. Or wait, what? This was 2018. No, at that point, I had finished massage school, so I was also working in like body work land. But then I started offering astrology, and then everybody booked astrology.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
it's like all of the other things that I was offering, tarot to a degree is still kind of around, but like everything else got overtaken by astrology.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so your friend was the one who inspired you to finally open up your books. What was that like for
Yeah.
you to like turn it into money? Is that kind of like a timeline or what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's sort of, yeah, that's, it was like scary. It was a little scary at first because like, as I mentioned, it's like up to that point, I hadn't done like a structured educational process
Yeah.
for astrology. It's like I was reading a lot of books, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, I was looking at a lot of charts. Um, I was paying attention in my daily life, which I actually think is a crucial component of really learning astrology or like human design or something like this. Is like
Yes.
you actually need to be like living with it and not just compartmentalizing it out of your life. So I did have a lot of experience, and Like even before I was like offering like things like tarot and things like that more publicly, like I was consistently a person in my various like social circumstances that people would come to talk through things, and find answers or like suggestions or whatever. Like that was a role that I was already in and familiar with navigating. um but yeah, it was like stressful because I'm like, I don't know what I don't know. And I knew that I didn't know what I didn't know, which I also think is one of those like blessing things, right? It's like I was aware that there were probable gaps. And so that at that point, like after I'd started seeing clients, I actually did sign up for a more structured learning situation. And so that's when I started taking Austin Coppock's Fundamentals of Astrology classes. And so like the first year was basically just I know all of this. The second year was I know most of this and there was some new stuff. The third year was like now we're getting into some of the interesting things. Um it's like in year 3 with Austin, one of the things you do is you read Marsilio Ficino, and it's like I already knew about Mr. Marsilio Ficino. I'd already learned and like read some Marsilio Ficino like back in like 2016 or something. But then like being like walking through it with a teacher is a different experience,
Totally. Wait, so you're saying, it was a multi-year program?
Yeah.
Whoa, so like year 3 was when you started to really get into the territory of like these are concepts that are like really expanding my view.
Things get richer, things get deeper, and like part of it too. So like Austin, like this is something that I had to like learn because like I'd already been paying attention to Austin's work since 2017, 2016, something like that, right? 2015. The dates are a little iffy, but for a while, by the time I signed up for fundamentals with him. And because I was entering into like astrology learning through the lenses of people who were already more magically oriented. So like one of the first astrologers I followed consistently is this person, April Shaley, who is a Thelemite, right? So like for me, there was never a like divide between astrology and magic, but in like occult world, like magic occult world, and like the larger astrological industry, there is a huge gulf between astrology and magic. Giant gulf. So it's like you might find some occultists who will do like certain kinds of planetary magic, but they're not learning astrology. And you'll find a whole bunch of astrologers who are just really committed to like psychological astrology or archetypal astrology, who want to throw magic completely out the window because they see it as threatening to astrology's potential to be credible within a scientific, objective, materialist context.
Why does it need to be credible? Anyway.
I could soapbox about that for days.
Oh my God.
So anyway, so it's like Austin was always going to be my teacher.
That's so wait, it's just interesting to hear you say that because I don't think I've ever thought about that. Because all of the magicians that I've ever been close with are planetary magicians.
Yeah.
And so I just like assume that people are using elections to like make things happen. And I'm like, wait, what?
No, that's not like that was literally my response too. Whenever I was like in United Astrology Conference, UAC was when I was really getting like becoming aware of like the huge like worldview divides that exist even within the astrological industry. You would think that an astrological like worldview would be like there would be like a whole bunch of components that go in with that. But there are astrologers. There are professional astrologers who do not think astrology should be used for prediction. Which makes zero sense because what are you doing when you were looking at somebody's natal chart and then talking to them when they're 40 about their personality, but prediction?
Oh, like about what it's going to be like for them when they're 60?
Or just even being able to say to someone when they're 40 years old, these are components of your personality because of this thing, the way the sky looked when you were born.
Right.
That is prediction.
Right.
That is personality prediction.
Okay, then what's the argument for not doing prediction?
Well, because fortune telling is fake. We can't know the future. Which is really just decontextualize what Alan Leo was doing in the early 20th century in order to sufficiently legitimize astrology to be able to continue studying astrology without being in prison.
Oh.
But then again, it gets decontextualized, and we can go to that Resmaa Menakem quote of trauma decontextualized from a people looks like culture.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, like studying with Austin made a lot of sense to me because I was already like in a world where these things weren't so divided.
Right.
It just like added more solidity to how I was thinking about things. And like I would say studying with Austin was one of the things that really helped polish my ability to apply timing techniques to things, especially things like zodiacal releasing or planetary decades, which if you're listening to this and you have no idea what those are, they're like timing techniques that come from traditional astrology that help you to describe not your natal chart, but like different eras of your life as you move, as you like actually live.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Mhm.
Wait, okay, I'm stuck on the predictions thing. So, from my point of view, I would want to go to an astrologer to be like, when should I start my business?
Yeah.
Is that a form of prediction?
Yes. Well, when should I start my business is a combination of both prediction and election. Like it's technically election because it's like when is a good time, like in terms of the astro weather. But if you're going to a really good electional astrologer, they're not just like, this is a generally auspicious day. It's like based on your chart and your timing
And maybe your
and
business
your
partner.
goals. Yeah, your business partner, your goals.
Yeah.
This is going to be not just a good day, but like a good specific time to like submit your articles of incorporation or whatever it is that you're doing for your business.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But there are a lot of people who just want to go to an astrologer to be like, why am I like this?
Oh, is it like therapized?
It's like some of it can be therapized. Like I've definitely received feedback from clients who are like are in therapy and are like they come to me to like understand something through the lens of astrology, which then cracks open an entire field of things that they can explore and navigate and maybe a skill set adopt like shift through their therapy
Oh,
relationship,
for sure. Absolutely.
right? Because there are things that you can see in a chart about like somebody's constitution, maybe even somebody's needs. Like it's very common for me to be sitting with people and they're like, I really feel like I'm struggling with this thing over here. And it's like, you're struggling with that thing over there because you're trying to do it in a way that doesn't make sense for your chart.
Oh.
Whereas if you maybe like shifted your perspective a bit and you thought about this and you incorporated these considerations, you'd have an easier time. You might not be doing the thing that you think you should be doing, but the thing that you think you should be doing is a should that somebody else gave you.
It's a should that somebody else gave you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Yes.
so I was just going to say, like, this ropes into my whole, like, what does it mean to to be a human being? And, like, for me, part of that is identifying the spiritual and ecological niche for humans to occupy. And there's the, like, general niches that humans can occupy. And then there's the specific niches that specific humans occupy. And, like, a not insignificant amount of suffering is trying to do something that's not actually of your nature.
Oh, totally. Okay, I just have such a random question all of a sudden. In your experience reading charts and helping people, are there like big themes of shoulds that come up a lot that you kind of feel like are indicative of like the wider culture that are okay, so that's so random, but what do you think?
Definitely. I mean, one that's coming up a lot lately is oh man, there's so many. But the first one that came to mind as you were asking this question is I should have a pair bonded romantic relationship. Yeah.
Like I should
have one, and the fact that I don't have one yet, no matter
says
what age
something
people
about
are,
me.
no matter what age people are. Like I have had this question from 19-year-olds and I've had this question from 62-year-olds, right? Like the whole range. The fact that I don't have one right now says something about how I'm failing.
Oh.
Right. And it's also one of these things where like there are people who think they should have a certain kind of romantic relationship. And then when I look at their chart and I'm just like, we can talk about what you think you want, but I'm just going to describe what I see in your chart about what would be satisfying for you relationally. And I want you to just tell me if I'm on the money. And usually I'm on the money. And usually what it is that they think they should have is something that makes them actually feel like they're in a cage. It makes them feel like they're not going to be able to be an authentic version of themselves. And so that's why it's not happening, because it's actually not the thing that will allow them to be themselves.
Oh, so are they like kind of unconsciously avoiding the cage, but then they're like, why am I not in the cage? But
Yes,
it's like
100%.
society is asking, why are you not in the cage?
Yeah. And it's like sometimes it's like, is this even a priority for you? Because, like, based on what you're telling me is going on in your life, you're really happy in this area of your life. You're having a great time in this area of life. You actually have really incredible, enduring friendships that are deeply meaningful for you. Like, maybe you just need like a really good person to sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if like the version of like pair bonded romantic relationship that you saw from your family or that you see in culture
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the thing that actually is like satisfying for you relationally. And just having someone say that to them, they're like, oh my God. All of a sudden, this huge amount of pressure to be the kind of person that would have a man and like propose to her, like that's gone.
Whoa. Whoa. And you can like see people like the cogs turning and just being like, oh,
Yeah, the
life can be like this.
sometimes I even call my practice body work, because I will see people go from here to here.
Yeah.
Like they're so worried that I'm going to tell them that they're actually royally fucked and they're never going to find love.
Yeah, totally.
But what I'm actually telling them is, yeah, I think the kind of man that your mom wants you to marry is not the kind of man that you would ever marry. And they're like,
Oh.
you're so right. I thought that I had to. And I'm like, no, you don't have to.
I thought that I had to. Yeah, what else is there? What are the other shoulds that come up a
Yeah.
lot?
So other shoulds that come up are and like this was something that was really common. Like there was an amount of time when Saturn was in Capricorn. I was getting a lot of Saturn and Aries young people. And so that's like Saturn was in Capricorn end of 2017 through the end of 2020 basically. And Saturn just entered Aries now. So I was getting Saturn and Aries people wanting to prepare for their Saturn returns, like almost a decade before their Saturn return was going to happen.
Oh.
Which is very archetypally Saturn and Aries, of just like, I just need to be really ahead of the curve and they'll be fine. Which it's quite sweet and adorable in various ways. And also I never said that to the Saturn and Aries people when they were coming to me, because they would have hated that. I was like, oh, you're so sweet. Uh like, I love that you were trying to like read ahead, and also you can't read ahead for this. But there's something about like, I should be more accomplished than I am at this age. And you know, and like some part of that I see as you know, certain components of like influencer culture and people like making it big or whatever when they're like quite young, which is all downstream impacts of the youthification of culture and coolness and trendiness that we started seeing really strongly in the 1950s. Right? This idea that you should be fantastic and amazing and polished and perfect by the time you're 22. Right? You should know what you want to do. You should already know what your vocation is. You should know what your purpose is. Like, you should have already figured out your values, even.
I know. I
Right?
look back on me 22 and I'm like,
I didn't know anything. I was like, I was not.
so unconscious. I think I became conscious
Yeah.
maybe when I was 23.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. But you know, it's also reflective of like socioeconomic circumstances where there's so much urgency and like
100%.
being able to see like how crucial it is to make enough money.
Or like a
early
family
enough.
lineage of people who did, for some reason, get the programming where they could pull that off. And now it's on you.
It's just like everybody in my family knew they were going to be doctors because they were told they were going to be doctors. And I don't want to be a doctor, which means I need to figure out the alternative ASAP so my family respects me.
Right. Oh, right. Or like be something that is as valuable as a
Right.
doctor.
Or is like, even if my family doesn't perceive it
Prestigious.
as valuable, I see it as valuable, and so I don't have to feel bad about not pursuing med school.
Or yeah, or if I'm going to be an artist, I have to be the best artist, so
and
that it's just as good.
I have to make it big now.
Whoa.
So, and
So
that's
wait, you were seeing all of these Saturn and Aries people that were having a
in
very
like
similar
20
crises
in like
about this.
2020. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, but that should, like, I should be more accomplished than I am thing is so interesting because are you saying that there's maybe like a planetary influence that maybe would get somebody to think that, but it's also like a cultural construct at the same
It's a
time?
combination, but one of the things we can think about with the planets that are indicative of generational signatures, so the outer planets like Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, but then also the slower moving inner planets, especially Saturn, like it carves out these like sub generations that are descriptive, like the constitutions that are shared among Saturn and Aries people are
Mm-mm.
reflective of the time period whenever they were born. And then it's reflective of the time period when all of them have their Saturn return together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Saturn was in Aries in
Oh, I
like the
see.
late 90s, and now Saturn is in Aries again.
Mm-hmm.
And so even just thinking about, well, what was happening in the late 90s and how is that mirrored by what's happening now?
Mm. Oh, I
You know what
see.
I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it's like there's this like one of the constant I don't even know debates, like philosophical queries within astrology is, are the planets causative or descriptive? Right? And it's like, ¿por qué no los dos? Um but it's like it is descriptive of the weather that is happening, the cosmological weather of a moment. And it's similar to, it's like if you plant a tree in a certain kind of weather situation, it is going to grow differently than if you plant it in a different weather situation. If you plant a tree in a drought, it is going to establish its root system differently than if you plant a tree during an exceptionally wet year. And that, original like root establishment time period will impact what that tree is resilient to later in its tree life, and so that's also true for humans.
Right, so like the astrological environment we're born into might affect the way that our roots grow or
Yes.
however we want to put it. I just want to make sure I'm getting it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And it's like that's why the natal chart can be so incredibly powerful for describing both who people are, like how they interact with the world, as well as how they're like, what gets called their natal promise, how their natal promise unfurls over time.
Mm. What's the natal promise? I don't know what that
So
means.
the natal promise is a concept of just like in your chart there are things. It gets into the fate free will
Oh, I see.
conversation, right? But it's like in your chart. It's like, so for example, not only do I have a Sagittarius sun, I also have a Sagittarius moon. And one of the ways that, like me and my friends like to joke about Sag moons is we're like the puppy heart moon, in that there's a decent amount of resilience that Sagittarius moons have to varying kinds of like emotional experiences, right? So it's like kind of like how a puppy might get disappointed because it like tumbled face first off the last stair of the staircase,
Uh-huh.
but then it just like gets up and goes and finds the ball. Right?
Oh, totally.
So
Yes.
so you could say that it is in my natal promise to be someone who has a certain quality of emotional like bounce back,
Oh.
right? Like that would be one way to even think about how natal placements are describing people as they move through the world. But then you can get even more intense with it, especially when you are layering in more complicated or specific astrological techniques and blending significations, being like, okay, you can kind of see someone's natal promise moving towards, especially once you add like timing techniques, which
Mhm.
get complicated, which is just like, okay, there's this thing that is suggested in the chart. Like, it is suggested in this chart that this person will gain notoriety in a field related to communication.
Oh, okay.
right? Like just based on the arrangement of planets, just in the natal chart itself. And then whenever you look at timing, so it's like, timing adds like so much refinement to this. It's like, okay, it looks like not just based on the natal chart, but if we combine this with zodiacal releasing, planetary decades, transits, and secondary progressions, there's this really active moment when this person is 46. And like all of the activations when they're 46 are suggesting notoriety through communication.
Whoa.
So it's like, okay, maybe it's in this person's natal chart, but it's not going to fructify. Like it's not going to be ripe until they're in their 40s.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so that would be like the natal promise and then the meeting of the promise.
The meaning of the promise
The
is
fulfillment of the promise. Like
it's
whenever,
like actually living it.
yeah, when it
What?
happens.
Oh,
Like
when
the
it
thing
happens.
the thing that's seen in the chart, is it going to happen and when?
Oh, have
Yeah.
you experienced your own natal promises?
A bit. So whenever my quote unquote star really rose in the astrological space, so that is to say, my first conference lecture, which happened in May of 2020, and which also then led to the first time I was a guest on the astrology podcast. That was happening during my Saturn return, right? It was happening during a multi-level peak period using zodiacal releasing, which zodiacal releasing is kind of a complicated thing to try to explain briefly to folks who are not already pretty astrologically literate. But basically, it was a time period where there was a lot of favorability to me achieving things,
I see.
right? And that peak period happened to involve one of the most well-resourced planets in my chart. And it's a well-resourced planet in the sector of the chart that has to do with relationships, the seventh house. And through my relationships, I had a absolutely unexpected and precipitous rise in notoriety within my industry.
But when you say relationships, do you mean like your network?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was like your network.
One-on-one. This wasn't my network though. It was a specific individual who invited me to speak at the conference. So it was a one-on-one relationship that led me to speak at the conference, and then it was a one-on-one relationship that invited me onto the podcast.
I see. Okay. Yeah. So people who know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they were kind of like the catalysts for things to fructify.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Did you know about that in advance?
No, it's really only in hindsight, because at the time that happened, I had been exposed. Like I had done some amount of study around zodiacal releasing. But zodiacal releasing for me has been one of those techniques that I've become more like, it makes more sense the more time I've lived since I first learned it, versus like there are techniques that like I learned about it and I was like, instantly I understand what's happening here and I'm so stoked about this technique.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. So when you say that like the Sagittarius moon has like a natal promise of being like a bouncy puppy in so many words.
Yeah. It's like the puppy heart.
It's
the
oh, okay.
Yeah.
But is the natal promise of that is more than just the placement of the Sagittarius moon? It's not just that, or
I mean, it can be. So whenever we're talking about natal promise, there's like the large story of like your life purpose, which there are multiple different techniques that can be used to explore life purpose.
Yeah.
But then there's like the smaller versions of natal promise, which we can see in something as simple as like, I don't know, a given planet in the fifth house, right? Which suggests something about like your creativity or how you access pleasure or like how you interact with children.
I see.
Right. And then it can, like, there are different levels of complexity and nuance that get attained depending on how many contributing factors you are considering as you do a given exploration of both just like natal layout and then timing techniques.
Okay, got it. Okay, I have a question. So, from your point of view, I mean, you sought out astrology because you wanted to understand the humanness, like how to human.
Yeah.
But as a professional, why do you think the average person seeks out astrology? And then do you ever see them kind of realize it is something that it's something different? Okay, that's kind of a weird question, but
no, that's like this is it is like it's a very specific question, right? It's like a question of why do people come to astrology? And then what do they learn about what astrology actually can do?
yes, that's my
Yeah.
question. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So for me, and I think like this is absolutely colored by the fact that it's like I've presented at conferences, I've been on the astrology podcast. The way that my calendar works is like people book with me by like get access to my calendar by being one of my Patreon patrons. Like very rarely does my calendar open just like to my general newsletter,
Mhm.
right? And so for a multitude of factors, like that means that the people who end up sitting with me usually are people who themselves are astrology enthusiasts already. Right. They've already engaged with some amount of astrological education.
Well, I'm with
They're
you.
listening to podcasts. You know, they're exploring from that perspective, not just a like, oh, I heard something about astrology, I'm gonna book a session. Like,
Yeah, or like I'm mad at my boyfriend. Can you fix him?
yeah, exactly. And it's like when I did tarot, and especially when I would like just had open books, like I got a much different variety of people coming to me for divination services, right? So there's a filtration that happens with the people that I sit with at this point. Um, and but like so it's harder for me to speak to like generally what are people searching for when they go to astrology. I'm also someone who actively does not do things like horoscopes. Like I don't write horoscopes. I don't do horoscope videos. I don't do the astrology of the week kinds of things. And that is a very specific and deliberate choice because I have seen other people who do that, who end up with people who are following them and consuming their content, who become dependent on them in ways that make me feel personally so incredibly uncomfortable. I do not want strangers to be dependent on my insight in a way that means that if I like don't do a horoscopes a given month or a week, they're sent into a tizzy.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
outsource
consenting.
their authority.
I am not consenting to being responsible for other people's agency.
Whoa.
Like that is a
I've
deep
never thought about it like that, but that's so real.
it is like it is such an intense aversion.
Totally.
Like it's like I don't want your agency. Do not put it in my lap. Like no.
Totally.
Right. So that also impacts who ends up sitting with me because I'm not attracting people from the perspective of like having shared on social media or on a newsletter or blog or something like consistent, like here's what you can expect this week type content. Like I will do that every now and then of just being like, everybody's feeling spicy right now. It's because this thing just happened. If you're experiencing spiciness, here's a suggestion. Right. But it's
like a weather, it's like a weather report when the weather's gonna be like very specific.
Yes, exactly. It's like I will talk to you about hail, but we are not talking about sunshine. Like partially cloudy, I don't care.
Totally.
Right?
Do you need to shelter in place or not? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like is the tornado siren going to go off? Like should you get some additional fresh water because floods? Like that's what I'm interested in maybe pointing out sometimes.
I'm with
right?
you.
So all of this is a lot of words to say. Like the people who come to me, which I don't think is representative of people in general coming to astrology. The people who come to me are coming because they want or need. Oh, that's a really pretty bird. There's like a bird that's a color that I've never seen before here. It's like red, but it's like very small. What are you? Sorry, distracted.
So cute.
30-year-old 30 somethings and birds, it's a thing.
Yes. It's the natural course.
Yeah. Like nature is healing. 30 somethings are into birds. So in any case, the people who come to me are usually looking for new perspectives on problems that they've already been trying to work on. So they're looking for adjustments to perception, adjustments to self-concept, adjustments to their relationship with what is happening in their lives. And for some folks, that is inclusive of like, you know, like helping to adjust or like refine how they're looking at like the next bit of time in their lives. Sometimes people will come because they actually want to look at things historically. They're just like, I've been in therapy for a while and I'm trying to figure out the like maybe the astrological factors that were participating in this particular time of my life. And so we'll look both at their chart, but then also the timing of whatever was happening for them as a way to just provide additional information or like sort of different perspectives into the jewel of comprehension from that astrological perspective.
Yeah. So astrology is helping them to develop the story that they're trying to build so that they can feel more situated in their life experience.
Yeah. And, that often looks like, I feel like I don't really have any agency right now. Where do I have agency? What can I do with what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Or what I anticipate happening, or with what has already happened? Like what, it's like there's like, especially the people that I see more regularly. Like there are a couple of people that I see monthly, or there are a couple of people that I might see like 2 or 3 times a year. And we're looking at things like, okay, so given like the overall astro weather and how this is impacting your chart, here are times to maybe think about like being really, really open with your schedule because it looks like there's a surprise that's going to happen this time. Or this would be an excellent time. Like I know you said that you wanted to do a retreat with your team to work on these sorts of things. Like based on your chart and the astro weather, here's a good time to do that kind of thing. And when you're on that retreat, given the astro weather, make sure you're talking about or discussing these sorts of problems in your business or whatever. Like that is like a lot of it is like it's perspective, but it's also like what is like what is this the time to engage with? What is the season, right? It's like, you don't want to plan a float trip in British Columbia in December. Like you're not going to be in you're not going to be in a floaty with your beer and your bikini at that time of year. It's like, no, you want to do that in July.
Yeah, I don't know if this makes, I don't even know if this is accurate. But I just got this image in my head of like a stock market analyst.
Yeah. I mean, there are financial astrologers who literally will use astrology to analyze the markets and to predict when to buy and sell from particular industries.
Right, but I guess
that's the thing.
I was just like thinking about like because somebody who understands the stock market also understands like the things that are happening on the emotional level culturally.
Yeah.
Like there's like so many things that are going on to be able to make a decent prediction of what's going to happen, which is the stock market is ultimately like an emotional thing, which people don't usually think of it that way, but it is.
It's about like what do traders feel about this particular company right now, given the news that just came out about them.
No, exactly. Yeah. Is it a fear-based market or is it like not? And so, anywho, I was just thinking about this astrological market analyst or something. Like, here's the most advantageous time for you to
do.
And
like sometimes it can be just like, okay, we have like 3 different timing technique layers combining with this thing in your natal chart that says tired right now. So maybe stop beating yourself up for not being as productive as you want to be right now, because right now, astrologically speaking, it's correct that you're tired. So what if you just let yourself be tired and you can anticipate the shifting when these things shift here? So there's also something about like the gift of being able to anticipate change that astrology really provides.
Okay. Here's another question. What do you think? Okay, this is just like a hypothetical. How do you think, let's just speak as Americans.
Yeah.
How do you think our culture could hypothetically improve if people lived with some of this information that could be provided by astrology? Like if it was not secularized, but like if it was something that was seen as more like normal. I don't want to say it's legitimate. It's just like we live in a world where it's like more normal. Like how do you think that would shift culture?
I think it would depend. Okay, so I can say how I would hope it would shift things, but it would require a sufficient amount of openness to other cultural shifts too. So for example, like the example that I just gave, I was just like, okay, we have these layers of timing techniques that say like right now is tired time, right? Like naps, snacks, get you with like some chalky milk, like it's fine, right? I love chalky milk. There was like a little bit of time that I had like 3 weeks where I was putting chocolate milk into my coffee instead of regular milk. I was like an inner child thing. It was fantastic. I'm over it now. It was too sweet, but it was great for like 3 weeks. Anyway, so uh, so like in an ideal circumstance, or an idealized to me circumstance, it would reduce urgency and rush and these narratives that they're like everybody's trajectory needs to look the same.
Dehomogenization.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Increasing of multimodal diversity that isn't just diversity based on gender or race.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I think there are way more interesting facets of diversity available that astrology makes legible than things like gender or race.
So you mean like diversity in the expression of human consciousness?
Yes.
I'm
Diversity,
privy to that.
like
Absolutely.
human consciousness, but also literal human embodiment,
100%.
right?
100%.
Because like even just like going back to moon signs, it's like, okay, I have a puppy heart. I can be disappointed and feel my feelings for just like a minute. And then I'm just like, do you want to go for a walk? Like, let's go for a walk. I want to go for a walk.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
it's the doggest quality of me. I'm just like, let's go for a walk.
Oh.
Right?
Okay, oh.
You want to go to the park? Like, I'm obsessed. So, um, there are people who have a different moon and different, especially in a different, not just a different sign, but maybe also a different area of their chart, like a different house, where it's like what they actually need in order to process their disappointment is to like molder and like fester in their feelings for like a whole day and like listen to really intense, sad music. And that's the thing that's going to compost them out of their, out of
So
like
they can move, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving.
yeah, it's like if I was like, we should go for a walk to that person, it's not kind because they actually are benefited from festering.
Oh, okay,
You know what
wait.
I mean?
I keep coming with these questions. So,
Yeah.
okay. So you're saying Sagittarius. I love the Sagittarius moon puppy that's like, ooh, let's go for a walk. Okay. Um, what moon is the feeling of the acceptable way to deal with emotions in American culture?
Um, oh man, that's such a good question. That is such a good question because there's a gender quality here in
Oh,
terms of
yeah.
acceptable emotional like expression. So it's like I would say that for men, the acceptable expression of emotion is an Aries moon, which is fast and hot. Get through it really quickly, be fucking pissed, and then you're done.
Ooh.
Um, or Aquarius moon, which is pretend that you are a stoic who doesn't have feelings, which is not a universal thing for Aquarius moons. Aquarius moons actually do have really deep feelings. They're just not always visible
Oh.
on an exterior level. Um, for people who are socialized as women, I would say the Libra moon is probably the most socially acceptable because you're allowed to have your feelings, but you need to make sure that you're not making your feelings other people's
Like
problems.
clean
Yeah,
in a small
it's
pile.
like clean and tidy, and you're making it as pretty as possible.
Oh no.
You're not bothering anybody, and in fact, your biggest emotions are about other people's comfort.
Oh.
You're 50 yards staring again. You doing okay?
Oh, no, it's good. I was just like, whoa, that's so interesting. Do you think there's, because you were saying Aries moon or Aquarius moon for a man, and then people who are enculturated as men, and then for people who are enculturated as women, Libra moon, is there like a second runner up
Maybe,
for that?
maybe the Taurus moon,
I see.
which is you're actually quite grounded in yourself and like it's a different like they're both Venus ruled moons here, right? Libra and Taurus being Venus signs. I want to say Cancer moon, but that's not actually true.
That's kind of what I thought, but then I was like, it's too obvious.
It's too obvious, and also like Cancer moons can be very like Cancer is a cardinal sign, that is it's a sign that wants to do stuff, and that can be the version of like womanly emotions that get lambasted by things like Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's like the stereotypical expression that's not necessarily the idealized expression. It's the expression that is made fun of.
Oh, got it.
Whereas like the Taurus moon is just like, oh, you're having feelings, just like go eat some ice cream, go be like a sad girl, like maybe like do some like retail therapy, do a face mask and then come back pretty and not crying.
Oh my God, stop. It's like a 90s girl rom-com movie or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
But like
I like Sex in the City.
that's the acceptable version because you're not actually requesting accountability from anybody that might be participating in your emotional experience. And the consequence is you're still pretty.
Okay, what's the most culturally unacceptable moon?
Um, I would say the most culturally unacceptable moons are probably the Scorpio moon. Well, again, it's like it's somewhat gendered,
Right, for sure.
right? Like the Scorpio moon can feel their feelings too intensely. Too intensely. Big air
In
quotes around
quotes.
that too intensely. And be like too sensitive, also big air quotes. Um I feel like the water moons in general can be too much. So that's Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, according to like social acceptability of emotional expression, right? So it's like it's too intense, it's too goth, it's too morose, it's too like you feel your feelings just too much. Pisces is like you're too sensitive. Cancer, like a Cancer moon could be like too like how would I even put this? It's like one expression of a Cancer moon that's like taken way out of line is like you're too smothering, like you care too much about my feelings, like you're too, it's like this, like the side of a codependent
Yeah.
relationship that's like I need this other person to be okay for me to be okay,
Yes.
right? Um, and then there can be versions of, I mean, it's not just Cancer moons. I would say maybe even cardinal moons in general, but Cancer and Aries in particular, where it's just like you're so consumed by your feelings that your feelings also become everybody else's problem.
Mhm. It starts like bleeding out
Mm-hmm.
around you.
Yeah.
People are affected.
And there are nuances to this, right? So it's like Mars moon conjunctions can be like an Aries moon even if it's not in the sign of Aries.
Got it.
Right? Moon Jupiter conjunctions can feel like really stabilizing and like resilient in a way that's similar to a Sagittarius moon, even if it's not in Sagittarius. A moon Venus conjunction can be very like, I'm going to be pretty about the fact that I have feelings in a way that's similar to like a Libra or Taurus moon without necessarily being in Libra or Taurus.
Got it. Right. So there's much more going on there.
There's so many different nuances that happen with all of this.
Yeah, well, I just want to ask for a friend. What do you think about a Virgo moon?
Oh my God, Virgo moons. Like one, Virgo placements are very important in my life. Like people with Virgo placements. I love I once said I was never gonna date a Virgo, and then I dated 5 Virgo, these were Virgo suns. And then I dated like 5 Virgo suns, and now like the person I'm the most madly in love with I've ever been is also a Virgo sun. It's never make bets with the universe. So Virgo moons, like one of the things that actually will come up with Virgo moons in particular is digestion stuff and how emotional context impacts your physical digestion and vice versa. Right? So one of the things with Virgo moons is like discernment, not just intellectual discernment, but literal physical body discernment. And like finding good ways of like organizing the material that you intake without being stressed about how you're organizing the material that you're intaking. Again, both informational, but also like literal actual food.
Wait, can you give me like a real life example of
Yeah.
like what that
So
might be?
so like a real life example, like I've had conversations with a few different like Virgo moons who like they might not be cognitively aware that they're stressed out, but they might have like a category of food items that when they are stressed out, their body has a harder time processing.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, so this friend that I'm asking for,
Yeah. Tell me about them.
Whenever she's really stressed out, like she has to eat like carnivore, no grains, no sugar, nothing. But if I'm feeling chill, rest and digest,
Mm-hmm.
feeling good, my friend, can
Can kind of eat anything.
anything.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Um, One of the things too, this is like a thing that I like to tell Virgo placements in general. It's most active, I think, for Virgo suns and Virgo risings, but it's not relevant for Virgo moons. Um, which is, one of the stereotypes that Virgo has as a sign is perfectionism, right? And it's not unearned, right? Like it doesn't come from nowhere. Um, but one of the things that I think can be really useful for Virgo types to consider is the difference between the responsibility to create perfection and the opportunity to facilitate the expression of the perfection that is always already present. So this is where we can even get into like devotional relationship and like mother is everything, right? It's like if everything is already her, if everything is already like the divine mother, if everything is already like I don't know, her dancing and everything is her adornment and all of the sounds are her singing and all of that, then like your job, like you are never going to make anything more perfect than she made it already. Your job instead is to like identify what's making it hard to perceive that perfection and rearrange things so that the perfection can shine through even stronger.
Whoa. So like working in collaboration to make it even more
Yeah.
quote unquote
To
perfect.
make it evident, to make that
To
perfection
make
even
it
more
evident.
evident, right? It's like thinking about, so it's like Virgo from a seasonal perspective in the northern hemisphere, like this is like harvest and organizing the harvest,
Oh,
right? It's like you're putting things in storage, and you're counting what you have and you're making sure that things are like all set up to be able to like eat what you've preserved throughout the winter. And what you're essentially doing is you're capturing all of this perfection that is the fecundity and the abundance of the earth. And you're creating a structure for that perfection to be repeatedly accessed for nourishment until we have new things in the spring.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
And you do have to do it well enough that like the rats aren't getting into the grain.
Right. So
But
you gotta think a little bit.
yeah, like there's still skill involved, but like you didn't make the apples. You just harvested them and turned them into apple butter and are needing to make sure that you have sealed those jars properly so that there isn't like a bout of botulism in February.
Right, but and then there's also like a spirit of I want to take if we have this bounty of apples, I want to honor the apples by using them to the best of their ability. That feels like a similar feeling to what you're describing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
It's like,
wait. So, wait, I'm stuck on this devotional animism thing again.
yeah.
Because that was something that you said in the very beginning, and then we've talked about so many amazing things already. But I really want you to say a little bit more about what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so devotional animism. So devotionally oriented, to me, devotion is like it's the acting of love, or it's like a component of like the enactment of love. Um and like so when I say devotional animism, part of it is me saying like I am in love with being, and as an animist I perceive like being and sentience to exist in far more than just humans, right? So it's like in my devotional relationship with the pear tree in my backyard, it's like I'm a renter. Like there's a limit to what I can do for her, but I have absolutely hacked away the non-native hedge so that she has more breathing room, and like the black spot has begun to heal on her. And that to me was a devotional animist act where it's just like, I love this pear tree. She produced beautiful flowers. She's producing the cutest little pears right now. I want her to like I want to contribute to her spiritual growth, right? And like I say that because one of the definitions of love that I find really, really powerful comes from the work of M. Scott Peck. In his book, The Road Less Traveled, which was then extensively cited by Bell Hooks in All About Love, which is love is the active contribution to one's own or another's spiritual growth. Right. And so it's like that pear tree wants to be a beautiful pear tree, producing beautiful flowers in the spring and beautiful, delicious pears throughout the year. Like that is like that's her nature. And this hedge was just choking her out. And so, as an act of love, this hedge didn't mind that I took out a whole bunch of it because it's huge. It doesn't
Yeah.
need that corner.
Enough to go around.
It doesn't need that corner to maintain what it was doing, right?
Yes.
So it's like that is a devotional animist moment of just like hearing like understanding that tree's distress by paying attention to that tree, seeing that tree. It's like one of the deities that I work with. Like one of the offerings that I like to make to that deity whenever they are around is branches like from trees that are in flower. And so I was all spring, I was asking this pear tree, can I take some of your flowers yet? And she was like, no, every time. She was like, absolutely not. And then that's when I noticed, like, I looked at her environment. I'm just like, oh, you are under resourced. You are not getting enough light and you're not getting enough airflow because of this hedge. So instead of taking flowers from her, I trimmed the hedge.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, like she was under-resourced.
Yeah, straight up under resourced. Not enough light and not enough airflow.
Yeah, like it would hurt me
Yeah.
for you to take more of me.
Yeah.
I gotta
It's like
I
this
gotta
this
hold it
branch
down.
that I'm reaching out here, I'm like really proud of this branch because I have some branches behind me that I can't do anything with because they're just like trapped by this hedge.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Right. So you're in love with living little or big acts of love
Mhm.
to enhance the world around you.
Yeah, I want to be an active, positive contributor to the ecologies that I participate in.
Yes.
Literally, like literal physical ecologies, but then also the spiritual ecologies that I'm in, the social ecologies that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to be a net good in those
Mm-hmm.
areas to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you find that to be like that's like part of your practice,
Yes,
or
it
it
is
does this
actively.
come naturally to you, or like do you have to practice it?
Both, right? So it's like I have like a naturally generous orientation. Like one of the things that like at a certain point I defined like well-being for myself.
Hmm.
And it's like I know that I'm doing good, like mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, if it is easy for me to be generous without having to think about it that much.
Hmm.
And it is easy for me to access the experience of being in love.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like those are my rubrics for
Mm-hmm.
am I doing all right? It's like if I'm having a hard time feeling loving feelings, if I'm having like pinchy feelings, like, oh, I don't know if I can give anything to anybody else, those are indicators, those are flags that something needs attending within myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so like practices are things like um, it's like whenever so it's like there's the more like kind of like religious looking practices, which would be like whenever I'm doing certain kind of prayer practices. Um, like very often, like my prayers and my offerings are not just about myself, right? Like I am singing, like I sing a lot of my prayers, right? But it's like I am singing for the well-being of this little postage stamp of land that I live on in my house here. It's like I am thinking about like the wider web of people that I know personally and like thinking about who I know in that web who needs help and like praying for beneficial things to go towards those people. If I'm thinking about like protection, right, or praying for intercession, even on behalf of people I don't know, it's like, let there be intercession, like generative positive intercession among the people who are experiencing terrible genocide right now. For example, it's like I can't show up there. I don't have gigantic steel wings to like deflect bombs. But like, like what, like if even just like a droplet of the energy of my
Yeah,
prayer,
yeah, could
like
shift
could,
the tide.
yeah, exactly. Then let
Ugh.
that be what happens.
Yeah.
Um, And then, there's also the practices of like different kinds of self-work, right? It's like I think about like I don't how do I even put this? It's like I think about the ways that I can navigate conflict or discomfort now that weren't available to me a decade ago because I have been doing varying kinds of therapeutic processes, like actually in therapy straight up. Um, but also different sorts of practices around like somatic work, polyvagal theory stuff, Like really thinking about like what are my actual values and what needs to happen for me to be able to embody those values on deeper levels, right? Like introspection is a huge part of my practices when it comes to devotional animism, because like worldview is an inside job in part, right? Adjusting worldview is an inside job, I should say. But worldview is going to be what allows you to perceive or misperceive what is happening around you and then react appropriately or inappropriately based on like the accuracy of your perception. And so it's like if you're perceiving things through a lens of like, I don't know, like I think about like interpersonal conflict, especially like romantic stuff, because like romantic relationships are the things that like touch the lavoirs of your nervous systems the most intensely, right? Very generative for spiritual growth and development. Right? But it's like if my partner does something and I respond only from the place of this is reminding something in my system of something that happened that was awful 5 years ago with an ex of mine, and I'm responding to my partner as though he's my ex, that is not the way to do things. But I have developed, thank God, right? Like I have developed the nervous system capacity, and the like compassion capacity to be able to be like, I'm having a feeling. I'm going to go away for a second, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about my feeling and whether or not I have any requests of you. But I'm going to be self-responsible about my feeling, and I also do not want to perceive you as my enemy. So I'm going to do everything I can to not do that.
Then your desire to not perceive anyone as your enemy in a situation like that is fueled by like this devotional energy. Like you don't want to be seeing anyone in that way.
Yeah, and it's like people can have enemy behavior towards me.
100%.
And I can understand that their enemy behavior towards me, and a majority of the circumstances that I've experienced this actually have nothing to do about me, like with me.
Mm-hmm. Right, totally.
And it's like you might see me like, I don't know, I'm just thinking about like this is a tender zone for me, because like I have a repeated experience of people deciding that I am playing a role for them in their life or like their dreams or whatever, that I either didn't consent to because we never talked about it, or we talked about it and I was like, I'm not that, and still they decide that I am that for them. And then when I'm like really like for real, I'm not that, rupture happens. Right. And consistently, like those are also all people who had habits of never asking me how I was.
There's a pattern.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because I mean, well, if they asked you, they'd learn who you actually are.
It's like, oh, these people weren't interested in me as a person. They were
100%.
interested in a role that they wanted filled, and they saw that I could potentially fill that role for them.
Right.
And so like those are the situations where I have been on the receiving end of enemy type behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And like there is a part of me that always is like, what did I do wrong? How can I fix it? I'm the one that fucked up. Like clearly I'm insufficient. Maybe if I had explained myself better, or I'd use exactly the right language, or I'd been exactly the correct amount of like if I had sandwiched enough affirmation before and after my negation of what their request, then maybe everything would be fine. It's also just like the loving thing to do in a situation and like this is like let them think what they're thinking, and I'll just go hang out with the people who actually seem to like me as myself and not just the role that they thought I was going to play for them. Well, and like that's also like ecological stability in a way, where it's just like here there's clearly an incompatibility here, right? It's like I'm not going to say that that person sucks,
Right.
that there was an incompatibility in terms of their expectations and what I was available for.
Totally. Like their plant needs were different than what you're able to provide.
Exactly. It's like, I need a different kind of soil than you do. Yeah. And like I'm not going to grow well. I'm not going to fulfill that ecological niche over there because my roots need something else than what yours seem to. And so when I think about like devotional animism, it is this like inclusive of like ecological consideration, where it's like in ecologies, incompatibility isn't a moral indictment. It's just now there needs to be differentiation.
No, totally. Totally. Yeah, or just like kind of like acceptance of what works where, and it's not like personal or evidence of something not being correct.
Yes.
Yeah, because when you were saying earlier about like when I asked you like what would America be like if people use this astrological information just as part of the culture,
Mhm.
and you were saying there would be more multimodal diversity, do you kind of feel like astrology has given you this like multimodal awareness of like what to expect from other people? Oh, I guess you kind of were saying that earlier,
Mhm.
but I feel like that's kind of coming around of like your part as part of your devotional animism, you also are able to kind of see people for maybe what they are in a way where you're like, this person is an expression of everything,
Mhm.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to mesh, but I
Yeah.
can still respect my own boundaries. I think I'm trying to like summarize some of the things that you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something about like being able to, it's like even just thinking about like the devotional component of just like it is fascinating to me when people are different from me. Even if people are different from me in ways that I don't want any proximity to, it's still
Totally.
fascinating. Right? Just like I don't know, like Komodo dragons are fascinating, but I don't want to be close enough to a Komodo dragon to be harmed by a Komodo dragon. You know what I mean?
I get
Like
you. I get you.
um
I get you.
so
Oh yeah, I get you. I
yeah,
actually feel like awe and wonder at how
mhm.
differently people can
It's
perceive reality or feel feelings.
It's astounding. Like there are absolutely like I have my like judgy fits every now and
For
then
sure.
because like I have Saturn in Capricorn. Like um um but like there are also like especially whenever I'm out of whatever my initial emotional reaction might be, I like even people who might have initially angered me, I usually just end up in a space of like, man, that sucks. It's like if I think about, say, being this person who has like a long history of rupturing relationships just as they start to get close enough to be supportive to them. And like that, like I can't imagine what's going on in that person's brain really. And also that must be so painful to have had this repeated experience of approaching intimacy and then everything collapsing around you. You know, especially if you're absent sufficient introspection to be able to identify or even be open to the possibility that there's something that you could adjust in your behavior in order to minimize that intensity of rupture. Right? Like, man, that sounds so hard. And also, like, please never talk to me again because how you behaved towards me was completely out of pocket.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Just like this ability to like not cast people out of your heart entirely
Yeah.
because you understand where they're coming from, but that doesn't mean you need to get in the cage with them.
Right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like that adage of just like love can be unconditional, but relationship must be conditional.
Uh-huh, I get you. Totally.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I feel like I could just like keep talking for a while,
Yeah.
but we do actually need to wrap it up.
Yappers unite.
Yappers unite. Yappers unite. I'm trying to think if there's any final thing that I wanted to ask you aside from like you plugging your whole world. Um, but maybe like if there's somebody who's listening to this who's like really excited about astrology, maybe you've said things in a new way that like really got them like whoop, thinking about it. Like, what's something that you'd want to tell someone who's like suddenly really interested in astrology because of this conversation?
Okay. I think the first thing that I would say, if you're really interested in astrology and you're like, I really want to understand how this works, start with learning traditional astrology, because that is going to give you a much more robust foundation and understanding of the mechanics of astrology, that you can then layer on other things like psychological or archetypal or evolutionary or like there are so many different approaches to astrology. But if you have a foundation in traditional astrology principles, especially when it comes to the planets, signs, and houses, you are giving yourself an amazing gift in terms of being able to understand and create meaning as you continue your studies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's like kind of like take organic chemistry before you decide to like do
Mhm.
these other more advanced sort of views
Yeah.
because then you'll understand the foundation
Yes.
where all the other things are coming off of.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly. And like there are differing like programs or books or things like that that will take you through traditional astrology. I will say that like some perspectives on traditional astrology can feel really intensely fate oriented and fateful and sort of like doomy even. So I guess another thing that I would suggest is make sure you're taking things with a gigantic grain of salt. And if you tend towards intense anxiety about yourself or the future, um, create strategies for coping with yourself and future anxiety, either before or alongside your astrological studies, because it can be very easy to just like go down the doom hole.
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to learn. It's literally counterproductive to like generative learning to just be in an anxiety state. So
Totally. Wonderful.
yeah.
That's all great advice. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, is there anything right now that you specifically want to plug before we find out where we can find you? Like, are you teaching anything or is anything coming up?
Let's see. I mean, I guess the one thing that's definitely coming up that people would be able to access, because it's like I'm teaching next weekend at North Star, which is like it's the first thing, it's the first version of it that's happening. It's an astrology camp out at this beautiful farm.
Oh yeah, and Aiden
This,
Walker is going to
yeah,
be there.
Aiden Walker's going to be there. I'm super excited
Oh,
about
that's so
it.
cool.
But that's like ticket sales are done for that, and also this is not going to come out in time, I don't think, for that.
It's coming out this week, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. Real
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be listening to this while I am at North Star. Um, but the next thing that people have access to, I think, would probably be so Christina Caudill, who is an evolutionary astrologer, who hosted a couple of summits a few years ago. She's hosting another summit this year, and it's in August. And so it's basically just like a weekend where you can, like, there's like a schedule of like these 30-minute lectures that a whole bunch of different astrologers have contributed to it. And so you can sign up for free and just like dip into any of those lectures whenever they are being live streamed. Um, and if you pay money, you can also come to the live panel discussions that are happening that weekend and have access to the library of talks to watch at your own leisure. And so I contribute a talk called Ready or Not, We're All One, um, which is basically about like astrology and unit of consciousness, sort of kind of. But also worldview and Pluto a little bit, even though like I don't necessarily specialize in Pluto. It's like it's still relevant, it's still relevant. And then there's like I think Becca Tarnas is doing something about like astrology and psychedelics. I think there's someone doing, or there's like a couple of people that are maybe doing like medical astrology type things. There's like a range. There's a real diversity of voices in that summit. So that's the next thing that I'm doing that I think is available to sign up for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really cool. And then I heard you say Patreon community.
Yes.
And then people can book with you through Patreon. Are there any other ways that people can connect with you?
Yeah, so Patreon is kind of the best place. I just opened up a Discord for it earlier this year, which I'm excited about. It's chill. It's a chill Discord, not like an overwhelming one. We have live chats every month and I'll post other things there. But elsewise, I'm kind of not super hanging out on social media that much. But I do have like a whole archive of content on Instagram, especially. And I am theoretically on Threads and Blue Sky, though again, I'm trying not to spend too much time on the social media these days. So
that time people can look through your posts on Instagram and then maybe you pop in every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually quite proud of my Instagram library, I have to say. There's like
totally, I bet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I know you have a website and I'll put that in the show notes. And
yes.
See that.
And I have a newsletter. So if somebody is like, maybe I'll want to do a reading at some point, but I don't want to join the Patreon, joining the newsletter and indicating that you're interested in either all my newsletters or one-on-one sessions, that's how you would eventually get notified if ever
cool.
there's space that
great.
gets to the newsletter.
So efficient.
I did my best. It took a lot of thinking and figuring out, but yeah.
Cool. Amazing. Well, it's been really amazing to talk with you today. I'm going to tell my friend about the Virgo and Moon digestion issues, and
please do.
Love it.
Please do.
Wow, that explains everything. But this has been really cool, and I can't wait to re-listen to it. Yeah, what has it been like for you to tell your story today, just before we go?
I mean, it's been pretty interesting and fun because I feel like
Yeah.
there are components of my story that I've told before, but there are facets to it that emerged in this conversation that uh just maybe haven't emerged before. And I'm also like very satisfied with my summary of how I would describe my spiritual practice at this
Mm,
point.
it's
Like it
contagious.
feels good. It like fits right. So
Yes. Yes.
um
Resonant.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Like a bell ringing the perfect tone.
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. Well, this has been grand. I'm gonna stop the recording and have a good rest of your day.
Cool. Thanks,
Okay,
Hanna.
bye.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. All of the information for Diana is down in the show notes. I look forward to your journey of deepening your astrological devotional knowledge through the blessings of Diana. And other than that, as usual, if you loved this episode or if there's a Grace Pilled episode that you've been particularly impacted by, the freest way to support my show is to share it with somebody, your friend, your colleague, your lover, your family member, anyone that you think would love the show. Word of mouth is the best way to help me grow. And other than that, I'm here for you as well. If you want to book a call with me, you can go to hannawilliams.com. That's HANNA Williams.com. I'm also teaching a secret business course August 20th. And if you want to get the secret link to my secret business course that I'm teaching, it's a 3-week-long course. You can just send me an Instagram message. You can shoot me an email, and I will get that to you. It's all being a little bit secret for secret reasons. But it's kind of fun to have it be something that's rolling in the background and not so forward in my world. And so that's the only thing that's really happening with me. You can, join my Patreon and throw $5 in the tip jar for the $5 tier if you love the show. And other than that, season 1 is wrapping up here. There's just 2 more episodes, I'm pretty sure. No, 3 more episodes off the top of my head. And then season 1 is going to close, and I'll go on a little bit of a sabbatical, just kind of reorienting to how season 2 is going to look. And Grace Pilled will continue in a new form. All right, that's it, guys. See you next time.